One of the most common questions that I see get asked in the retirement community is $500,000 enough to retire? Last week, I watched a 60-year-old man break down on another YouTube channel, and for the sake of this video, let's call him Mark. And he just realized that his $500,000 in savings might not be enough to retire. And the look in his eyes in that video, pure terror, because nobody talks about this nightmare scenario. See, you work hard for 30 years, you save responsibly, you follow all the rules, and then you discover that maybe, just maybe, you're screwed. So, I'm Jason, by the way. I retired early at 39, and now I study this retirement stuff obsessively. So, here's what nobody tells you about that magical $500,000 number. It could be more than enough, or it could leave you eating cat food in your 70s. The difference comes down to three things that most people completely mess up. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand with your own retirement savings. No more lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering if you'll run out of money. Let me tell you about my friend Samantha first. She's 58, has exactly $500,000 saved up, and she retired 2 years ago at 56. Now, Samantha's not traveling the world or anything fancy like that, but she's comfortable. She's living in a small town in Tennessee, volunteering at the local library, spending time with her grandkids when they visit. And the key thing about Samantha, she paid off her house before she retired. That was her game changer. On the other hand, there's my neighbor Dave here in Indiana. Roughly the same age as Samantha, same savings amount, but Dave's still working at 60 because he's terrified to stop. So, what's the difference between Samantha and Dave? Well, three simple factors that change everything. The first factor is your fixed expenses. See, Samantha paid off her house when she was 54. Dave still has 12 years left on his mortgage. And that difference alone, it's costing Dave about $1,500 every single month, more than Samantha in retirement. Samantha's living comfortably on $3,500 a month. And Dave would need at least $5,000 just to break even with his current lifestyle. And you know what's crazy? Most retirement calculators, they ignore this completely. They just throw out these random numbers like you need $1 million or $2 million. But $1 million with high fixed expenses is way worse than $500,000 with low expenses. And here's the math that'll shock you. If you're spending $60,000 a year now and you own your house outright, you might only need $38,000 a year in retirement. And why? Well, because you're not saving for retirement anymore. That's gone. You're not paying payroll taxes. Your house is paid off. Your kids are independent. That $38,000 a year, well, the $500,000 can support that for a really long time, especially when you add in Social Security at 62. But if you're still paying a mortgage, property taxes, and an expensive house, and you've got other debt, that same $500,000 suddenly looks really scary. I see too many people making these expensive mistakes. Real quick, if you find no nonsense stories like Dave's and Samantha's helpful, make sure you subscribe to this channel. The second factor that changes everything, and this is a huge one, is where you live. See, my friend Samantha, she moved from Illinois to Tennessee about 5 years before she retired. Same house quality, well, actually, probably a nicer house, but her property taxes dropped from $6,000 a year to $2,300. Her state income tax, gone completely. Tennessee doesn't tax retirement income or Social Security. And Dave stayed here in Indiana, where we both live. His property taxes are about $3,400 a year. Not terrible, but still 50% higher than what Samantha pays. The cost of living difference between expensive states and affordable states can be huge. That means that $500,000 in Tennessee or North Carolina goes way farther than $500,000 in, say, New Jersey or California. And I get it. I know people think that they need to stay where they are, but honestly, retirement is the perfect time to make a strategic move. You're not tied to a job anymore. Your kids are probably growing, so why not go somewhere where your money stretches further? Make sure you stick around because I'm going to tell you something that might blow your mind. I'm going to share some real numbers that most people never think about. Okay, so third factor, and this one's also huge, is your health insurance situation before you hit 65. And this is where most people get completely blindsided. If you retire before 65, you're on your own for health insurance until Medicare kicks in. I watched my buddy Keith spend through $28,000 in 2 years just on health insurance premiums. $28,000 in 2 years. That's like losing almost 6% of his entire retirement savings just for the privilege of having health coverage. But here's what Keith didn't know initially. There's ways to make this work better. For example, some people keep working part-time just for health benefits until 65. Others move to states with better marketplace options. And here's something that most people don't realize. If you're managing your retirement income smart, you might qualify for substantial subsidies on health insurance. Or like in my case, I keep my modified adjusted gross income low enough to qualify for Medicaid. And the coverage has been great. I bet you didn't know that in 41 states, Medicaid eligibility is based on your MAGI. There's no asset or means testing. A lot of you watching could likely qualify for near $0 health care if you lived in a state with expanded Medicaid. And yes, I know they're adding work requirements to this, but those won't even take effect until like 2027. Plus, I treat our YouTube channels as a business, not just as a hobby. And we do earn a tiny bit of money from them, so this satisfies the work requirement. So if you're worried about the work requirements, start thinking now about what side hustle you could start for when they go into effect. See, keeping your MAGI in check is all about how you structure your withdrawals from different account types. Or if you have income, it's about contributing as much as you can to tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs. Okay, here's where this gets really interesting, and I'm going to share something that might completely change how you think about this whole question. The real secret isn't whether $500,000 is enough. The real secret is understanding your personal spend rate in retirement. So let me tell you about my friend Amy. She had the exact same fear as Mark, the guy I mentioned at the beginning. Amy was 59 with $475,000 saved. She was convinced that she had to work until 70 to have enough. But when we actually looked at her numbers, something amazing happened. Amy was spending about $70,000 a year while working. But almost $25,000 of that was stuff that disappears in retirement. For example, she was saving $12,000 a year for retirement. Gone. She was paying about $6,000 in payroll taxes. That's gone too. She was spending like $4,000 on work-related expenses. Gone. Her commuting costs, work clothes, eating out for lunch every day, all that stuff's gone. Her actual retirement lifestyle only needed about $45,000 a year. $475,000 plus Social Security when she hit 62, way more than enough to support that lifestyle. Lucky for Amy, she ended up retiring at 61, and she's doing great. I mean, she's not traveling the world or anything, but she's comfortable and she's happy. So here's a question for you. What's your biggest fear about retirement money? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one. The mistake that most people make is they focus on this arbitrary number instead of understanding their actual needs. $500,000 might be way more than enough if you got your expenses under control. Or it may not be nearly enough if you're trying to maintain an expensive lifestyle in a high cost of living area. But here's the thing about Social Security that a lot of people get wrong. You can start taking it at 62. Yes, it's reduced, but it's still money coming in every month. If you're 62 and you've got $500,000 saved, you're looking at maybe $1,800 a month from Social Security, plus whatever you can safely draw from your savings. The 4% rule says that you can take about $20,000 a year from $500,000 savings. That's about $1,600 a month. So you're looking at maybe $3,400 a month total income starting at 62. Is that enough for your lifestyle? Only you can answer that. But here's what gives me hope for everyone watching this. Most people spend way less in retirement than they think they will. See, you're not commuting, you're not buying work clothes, you're not saving for retirement anymore. Your house is probably paid off, or at least close to it. Your kids are independent. A lot of the expenses that stress you out during your working years just disappear. See, the people who struggle in retirement aren't usually the ones who saved $500,000. They're the ones who never saved anything at all, or the ones who made really expensive lifestyle choices that they couldn't maintain. If you manage to save $500,000, you're already in the top 20% of Americans. That doesn't mean that you can retire tomorrow and live like a millionaire, obviously, but it does mean that you have real options. You can retire modestly in a low-cost area and live comfortably. You can work part-time doing something that you actually enjoy instead of something you hate. And if you like your job, you can delay retirement for a few more years and really secure your future. The worst thing you can do is panic and think that you're doomed. Look, you're not doomed. You're actually in a pretty good position if you're playing smart. The key is being realistic about what your money can and can't do for you. $500,000 won't fund some luxury retirement in San Francisco, but it can fund a comfortable retirement in thousands of great places across America. It won't let you travel first class everywhere, but it can let you see the world if you're smart about how and where you travel. The bottom line, $500,000 might be enough. It may not be. It all depends on your choices, your location, your lifestyle, and your health insurance strategy. But if you save that much, you're way ahead of most people already. And you still got time to make adjustments if you need to. The people who run out of money in retirement, they're not the ones who saved $500,000. They're the ones who never saved at all. Or the ones who made really bad decisions with the money that they did save. You're not those people. You're someone who's thinking ahead, planning smart, and asking the right questions. That puts you in a much better position than you might think. Want more no-nonsense retirement insights? Watch this next. I'll see you in the next one.